Okay, so this video is going to be talking all about how you shrink a SQL database. So let's go and show you some basics. So we're going to talk about this database. This is Controller Demo. If I look at the properties of this database, I can show you in the Files tab that the size of the files that comprise it are 275 meg and 24 meg. So the one at the top is a data file. So it ends in MDF. And the one below is a log file, which ends in LDF. Now, this is a very small demonstration database. If we talk about controller databases, you might find it more likely to get the size of the data, maybe 100 meg, and the size of the log might be, 100 gig, and the size of the log might be 10 gig. So that's a sort of ballpark figure you might see for controller. Okay, now there is a concept in SQL of the size of the information in the tables and the size of the actual data file, and these are not the same thing. So, for example, I can right-click on the database and I can run this report, and I can see the disk usage by the tables, and you can see that it gives you an information about all the tables down here, and you can see how much space they are consuming. But you might have the actual files that contain the database might be bigger than the amount of data that's in those tables. So I could increase this to be much bigger. And in fact, the log file, and I could do that. I could make that change. And it just means that now there's an awful lot of empty space in those files. So the data MDF log and LDF log files have now got a load of empty space in there. So that empty space is just sat there consuming disk space. Okay, so if you look at the screen I've got in front of me, you can see that the data file is 2,750 megabytes, the MDF file, and the log file is 240 megs. And you can see that by opening up this folder where they're located. And here is the transaction log, the LDF file. And here is the data file. So I'm just imagining that over the years, you've put data into the database, but you've also deleted some data. So you've left some white space in there, some pointless air. Now, if you left it like that, that's fine. If you kept putting data back into the system, then eventually SQL will fill up these files and auto grow them if it needs to get any larger. However, you might be running out of space on your C drive, or in my situation, but on one of your data drives, and you therefore might want to reclaim some of that missed space. So what do? Well, no problem. Very simple. All you need to do is shrink your database. So, taking this as an example, I right-click, I choose Tasks, I do Shrink, and importantly, I choose Files. In theory, you could use Database, but experience tells me that Files is the one to go for. So, first of all, I'm going to choose the log file. As you can see, 95% of it is available, which means it's free, it's white space, it's empty. And I'm going to shrink it down to a much smaller amount. I do this. If I look at the files in it, you can see that it's reduced the size of the database. And in fact, you can see the log file here has gone down to 5 meg, exactly what we thought. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with the data. So we do right-click, Tasks, Shrink, Files, but this time we'll keep it as data. We will go down to, I'm going to try and basically get it as small as possible. So I'm going to choose You just choose it a little bit more than what the minimum is, otherwise it can take a long time. So I'm going to do 125, do that shrink, it'll execute. On a big database, this could take hours, but on ours, it's very small. And it's basically reorganizing that data, put it in the in a neater way, and has shrunk that file. So I can prove that it's shrunk by looking at the files, and you can see that the file of my MDF has gone down to that size, and you can see it. There it is. It's much smaller than it was before. Okay, and it's as simple as that.